Hey guys, welcome back to the Robin's Nest and Mr. Robin's Math Workshop. Today is Tuesday the 31st. This is actually take 3 on trying to film this lesson. The first one I had dogs going crazy, and the second one, one of my boys came in and asked Miss Robins how to get fish blood out of his shirt. So no telling what you're going to hear. This is kind of a busy house. We have 4 boys, and Miss Robins is obviously here. We have 2 goldfish, 2 loud dogs, and Pablo the fighting lizard. So it's definitely always hopping around here. Today we're going to talk about customary measurement. Some people refer to it as standard measurement. But customary measurement, kind of an interesting fact, only 3 countries in the world actually use customary measurement as their as the way they measure, and that is obviously United States. You have Liberia and Myanmar. So if you wind up in Liberia or Myanmar, you'll be able to measure things and weigh things over there. There's 3 main categories that we are going to learn about. One is length, and in length we're going to talk about inches, feet, yards, miles. We have weight. We're going to talk about ounces, pounds, and tons. We're going to learn how to make all those conversions back and forth. It's really not difficult. It's just we're going to have to lean on our multiplication and possibly some division to make these conversions. And the last one that we are going to talk about is capacity, which is fluid ounces, pints, quarts, gallons. I was just noticing, I kind of growing my beard out here, and my beard has got a lot of gray in it. My hair's got a lot of gray in it. I'm thinking about maybe an interesting problem that we can work on is how many ounces of just for men Mr. Robbins needs to take care of some of this. Thinking about just getting a bucket and sticking my whole head in there, and that might be a good exit ticket to figure out how many ounces I'm going to need to do that. But today we're definitely going to jump right in on length. We're going to learn to convert inches to feet, feet to inches, inches to yards, yards back to feet. We're even going to learn how many yards and feet are in a mile. Again, the one that you're mainly going to be tested on, or to be 5th grade ready, is going to be inches to feet, feet to inches, and then also inches to yards and feet to yards. So, but we'll cover all of it, just so you know. I'm actually going to keep some little reference over here that you can always write on whatever you're using at home, a piece of paper or a whiteboard, whatever you got. I'm going to assign a couple of lessons that go along with this. So by the time you're done with this, we'll be ready to move right into the metric system, and we can see how that works. We'll actually might have to do some conversions in metrics and stuff to kind of see how that works with the customary. So let's jump right on in. I'm going to go ahead and erase this real quick. And let's just start out with just some basic references. I like to always have a model. A lot of times I point around the classroom. I know I pointed out that the tile on the floor are all 1 foot wide, and our doors are 3 foot wide. But let's just talk about a couple of little references that you can use to help you kind of remember. An inch, I would tell kids, hold up an inch. And I don't know, I'm trying to angle it here. You see me looking back and forth at myself on the camera and then up at the lens, so I kind of get caught in a loop here at times. But if you take and fold your finger like this, now it's not exact measurement here, but basically the inside of your knuckle, from this knuckle to that knuckle, is about 1 inch. And we know that 12 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and write that right now. 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. 1 foot. How big is 1 foot? Well, we know a ruler is 1 foot. So if you kind of hold up, it doesn't look the same on camera, but 1 foot, about the size of a ruler. A lot of people, then again, I mean, this is an exact science, but basically from the bend of your wrist to the bend of your elbow for the average person is close to a foot. Somebody, I mean, some people have extra long arms, some people have short arms, but about a foot. So that'll give you a good reference of inches and feet, just so you can look at it and know when you get home. All right, so if we have 12 inches to 1 foot, I'm also going to teach you how a lot of times when you see these that they have abbreviations or symbols for them. So underneath this 12 inches, I'm going to write 12, and I'm going to put this little symbol there. I know it looks like whenever we're in English class, it looks like quotation mark. But that's representing 12 inches. And then I'm going to still say is equal to 1. A lot of times you'll see them write 1 foot like this, or they might say 12 inches is equal to 1 foot that way. And sometimes they might actually just put IN for inches. So just as long as you understand what they're saying. But I'm going to be writing a lot of this today, where you see the inch symbol and the foot symbol. So let's go ahead and dive in and look at some of this real quick. So how do you make the conversion? At the beginning of the year, we talked about, I know a lot of, in 3rd grade, you went to maybe like 5 times 10 or 3 times 10, all the way to your 10s. But in 4th grade, I've asked you to learn all the way to your 12s. And the reason is because of 12 inches equals a foot. And I know that we have to be able to make that conversion. So let's do a couple of the conversions now. So for example, if I said I had 2 feet. Now notice how I went from the word foot to feet. A lot of times in America, we, for whatever reason, we'll just always say foot. For example, I say I'm 5 foot 8 inches instead of saying 5 feet 8 inches. Just remember that feet and foot, you know, we kind of get lazy with that when we talk about it. But we're going to say 5 feet, and I'm going to write it out now, and I'll use the symbols later. 5 feet is equal to how many inches? So this is where we're going to need to use that conversion, where we're going to use that multiplication. We already learned earlier that 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, but now I have 5 feet. So I'm going to need to do that multiplication problem, and I'm going to set it up like this. I'm going to say 5, remember what we put in the parentheses, we're going to multiply by 5 times 12 equals. And if you know your facts, you can either skip count by your 5s 12 times, 5, 10, 15, or you can do the mental math. You can do, here's my little thought bubble. Parents, you might learn, if you're watching this with them, a lot of times Mr. Robbins will do a little thought bubble, and this is where we've tried to work with students on learning to break these numbers apart and do mental math. And in this, I'm going to say 5 times 10. So I'd say 5 times 10 equals 50, and 5 times 2, 5 times 2 equals 10. And I know if I add 50 plus 10 equals 60 inches. And that's how we can make those conversions. So we're going to do a couple more. Let's look at them here. This time I'm just going to write the symbols instead of writing out the whole word. So if you had 3 feet is equal to how many inches? So I'm going to put my question mark in inches here. So again, I can do a little thought bubble because I know that I need to multiply 3 times, oops, and this time I'm going to write it differently. I'm going to write 3 times 12. You can either use the parentheses, or you might see it this way, where they write it out in an expression, 3 times 12. So if I do that, thought bubble, 3 times 10 is 30, plus 3 times 2 is 6, so I know that that is 36 inches. And that's how we can convert feet to inches. And if you're going back the other direction, then you could use division. If we were to say 48 inches is equal to how many feet? And if you see I'm bouncing back and forth from the abbreviation to the symbols, just because depending on what book you're in or what test, you might see any one of these symbols. This time, if I know I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, then I know I can use division. So this would be 48 divided by 12, because remember, 12 inches equals 1 foot. So 48 divided by 12 equals 4 feet. And this is, no matter how big it gets, you just keep these references here and you can do any of the math. You might even have mixed numbers. You might have feet and inches. Let's look at how we could convert from feet and inches into just inches. So for example, I said Mr. Robbins is, I have to tell the truth, I already said it. I was going to say 6'3", but no. I'm 5 foot 8 inches. So if they were to say, your teacher is 5 foot 8 inches, how many inches is that? Well, we have the inches here, but we're going to convert these feet. Now let's just pretend that we didn't use 5 earlier. But I know that that would be 5 times 12 plus 8, because I'm converting everything to inches. We know that 5 times 12 is 60, plus 8 equals 68 inches. So really, if you just remember and use that reference, like I said, you can write it up at the top. It's actually easy to make these conversions. So let's do another height. Let's do LeBron James. He's one of my favorite basketball players, and he is 6 feet 8 inches. And we'll talk about later how you add and subtract, and I mean that's pretty easy to tell that he's a whole 1 foot or 12 inches taller than I am. But same thing here. I'm going to convert. This would be 6 times the 12 inches plus the 8 inches equals how many total inches? How tall is LeBron James? So I'm going to do my little thought bubble here because this is a bigger number. So I'm going to say 6 times 10 I know is 6 times the 10 equals 60. And I know that 6 times 2 equals 12. We add those together. Those are called partial products. And that would be 72. So this is 72 inches plus, we're going to drop this like it's hot, 8 inches. 72 plus 8 is 80 inches. So he's 80 inches tall. And that's how you could convert when you have the mixed units. You have feet and inches. So, like I said, I'm going to assign an iReady lesson, and we're going to introduce you. We're going to talk about it. As we go on, the Moby Max has a lot of good little quizzes that can help too. But we'll have that all posted for you to know what to work on. But let's talk about the next thing. Next is going to be yards. We talked about an inch is about the distance between your knuckles. We talked about a foot being a ruler, or maybe that distance between the bend of your wrist to your elbow is about a foot. When I think of a yard, I mean, if you can picture a yardstick, that's why Mr. Robbins likes to use a yardstick as my pointer. That way I'm always using something that you can make a reference to. Think of a baseball bat. A baseball bat is not exactly, but generally around a yard. But we need to know what that is actually in customary measurement. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So 1 yard is 3 feet. And if we go all the way back, and I'll put this up here as a reminder, we know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So I know that 1 yard, 3 feet, so 1 yard is equal to, this would be 3 times the 12, 36 inches. Most of the things, like I said, until we get into some of the Olympic events and stuff like that, is measured in the United States in the customary. So for football, whenever they say, hey, you have 10 yards to get a first down, that is saying 10 times 3 feet equals 30 feet. So that makes more sense to me whenever they say, oh, you have 10 yards to get. I know, oh, that's 30 feet. That's 30 rulers. And you could even break this down even more, and if you wanted to convert 30 feet into inches, then we know we can multiply that by 12. So once you know how to do what the different units are, it's easy to bounce back and forth between them. So let's do a couple of these real quick. Maybe it gives it to you the other way. Maybe they ask, well, let's just do this. Let's just do this. Let's say 4 yards is equal to how many feet? How many feet? We know that each yard is 3 feet. So this would be 4 yards times, put the wrong number there, 3 feet equals 12 feet. 4 yards, each yard is 3 feet, so 4 times 3 equals 12 feet. And that's how we can make that conversion. If we wanted to go back the other way, if we have 12 feet, then we can use division. We know that 3 feet equals 1 yard. So then we can go the other way. We could say, we could use division to go back the other way. 12 feet divided by 3 feet gives us the 4 yards. So, like I said, I'm going to assign some lessons to help us better understand that. One other measurement, and I don't really have anything that I can reference this to necessarily, but is 1 mile. So I'm just going to show you this. I'm not going to make you do a lot of math on that. We might do some fun ones. I might post some fun problems with a mile, but I just want you to understand how many feet and how many yards are a mile. So in 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. 1 mile is equal to 5,200, live TV, 80 feet. Man, that's an ugly 8 right there. That's probably the ugliest 8 you'll see all year. Let's see if we can clean that up. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. And like I said, that's just something that's good to store in the back of your mind. A lot of times, as you move on, you'll have to start making conversions. They might want to ask how many feet are in, say, 7 miles or whatever. So that way you can make that conversion. 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. So 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. So I've got a nice little challenge for you here. If I've given you the feet and the yards, this is not necessarily, but maybe you can, as we go on, you can maybe post it on the stream, and Miss Robbins and I, we'll keep working with you so you understand, and we can better help you, how you can just communicate back and forth. But just as a little challenge, I wonder how many, if I said 1 mile is equal to how many inches? Now the easy way to do it would be just to Google it. But where's the fun in that? If you just, Google it, that takes all the fun out of it. So maybe you tell me, when you answer it, you don't just give me the number, but you tell me how you solved it, how you figured out how many inches are in 1 mile. So that would be a nice little challenge. But I know that we've talked a little bit at the beginning of the year, a little bit about measurements and conversions, but now we're going to really start jumping into it. I'm going to teach you some neat tricks and some really cool strategies. I think that's more of a professional word to use, strategy, than tricks. But we're going to talk about, like, we'll make the gallon man, and we'll have all this kind of different things to teach you how to make these conversions. Using these conversions will help you all the way through life. We talk about it all the time. Every time that there's a problem that's converting a recipe, we all the time with fractions and stuff. So these are definitely going to help you going forward. We will be doing, after this, we'll jump into the metric system, which I actually think the metric system, I'm not saying it's better because this is what I grew up using, but the metric system might be a little bit easier because it's based off of units of 10 centimeters, 100 centimeters. So I will have assigned an iReady lesson on making conversions, and a MobiMax lesson on customary lengths. Like I said, we're going to go lengths. We'll talk about capacity. That's how much something holds. And we'll talk about weight. And we should have a lot of fun doing this. For science, just this week, you'll see posted what I want you to do. We're going to be using the HMH next week to do some of the digital lessons. This week, what's going to be posted is going to be we've been talking about parts of a flower and the reproductive process of flowers. And on MobiMax, I'm going to have assigned some slides that you can look through. There will be a little quiz at the end. So definitely take these slides serious. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. The slides are really, really good. And then, like I said, I'll follow up starting next week with some HMH. And HMH is, for the parents that don't know, that's also the curriculum that we use at school. And the students can access that through their portal as well. But I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be fun. Like I said, I'm probably going to make some mistakes here, and it's live TV. It's hard to edit, so we'll definitely get through this, and we're going to have a good time doing this over the next few weeks. So until tomorrow, talk to you later. Bye.